Welcome to DSEJ Home Classes, a digital initiative by Directorate of School Education, Jammu. I am Jyoti Diwan. I am going to teach you an essay by Oliver Goldsmith, National Prejudices, Class 11th, Chapter 11th. First of all, we will read the introduction of the essay. Prejudices. Prejudices means एक ऐसी अनुचित भावना जो बिना नॉलेज के उत्पन्न हो. पक्षपात करना, अपने अपने देश की बड़ाई करनी और दूसरे देशों से नफरत करने की अनुचित भावना. The whole essay is based on this topic. National Prejudices is a meaningful essay. It makes a strong case for international understanding. It criticizes national prejudices which narrow one's vision and cloud one's thinking. National prejudices hinder the progress of mankind. These must be checked for a healthy and peace-loving world. It is possible to love one's country without hating other nations. The writer would therefore like to be called a citizen of the world. This essay advocates the cause of internationalism. We should get rid of national prejudices. Dear students, let me introduce you to the writer. Goldsmith was born on November 10, 1730 in Ireland. His father Charles Goldsmith was a farmer and a preacher. Like many young children, Goldsmith first began learning the basics of reading, writing and math at home with a family member teaching him. He attended Trinity College and graduated with a bachelor's degree in 1749. After Trinity College, Goldsmith attended Edinburgh. His intentions were to become a medical doctor, but he was dropped out of the program. Ironically, some people used to call him Dr. Goldsmith. Goldsmith began writing essays for himself in 1762. He published Citizen of the World, a satirical essay. He also wrote Inquiry into the Present State of Polite Learning in Europe. Many of his essays were published in a journal called The Public Ledger. See in this picture how the people are fighting for their nations. Now we will read the summary of national prejudices in detail. Oliver Goldsmith, an Anglo-Irish essayist, often watched people when he visited public places, and sometimes they invited him to take part in their conversations. Once, as a man described the different people of Europe, he argued that the Dutch were greedy, the French were self-serving flatterers, the Germans were beastly gluttons, and the Spaniards were surely tyrants, while in bravery, generosity, clemency, and in every other virtue, the English excelled all the rest of the world. Everyone in the group agreed with the man except Goldsmith, who pretended to be thinking about something else so he would not be forced to disagree with the speaker. The speaker, however, wanted everyone to agree with his assessment of the characters of these European countries and asked Goldsmith if he was the same mind. Goldsmith reluctantly stated that he could not make such a broad statement unless he had made a careful study of the citizens of each of these countries. In fact, Goldsmith suggested that the Dutch might actually be frugal and industrious, the French temperate and polite, the Germans hard workers, and the Spaniards dignified and deliberate. And while Goldsmith agreed that the English have good qualities, they might also be rash, headstrong, and impetuous, too apt to be elated with prosperity and to despond in adversity. Goldsmith could immediately see that his opinion was not appreciated by the others, and in fact the speaker chastised him for living in a country and enjoying its protection and privileges without loving the country wholly and blindly. Goldsmith then gives up his argument to ponder why people must run down other countries in order to love their own. Goldsmith then observes that, unlike the wise and learned philosopher of times long ago, who considered himself a citizen of the world, people today identify themselves too much as being natives of one particular spot or members of one petty society. If only uneducated people harbored these prejudices, it might be understandable, but when educated men of high rank also indulge in these unreasonable preconceptions, then it shows that they are common and of no special worth. In fact, those that most often brag about the great qualities of their nation are those who have the fewest good personal qualities, or, as Goldsmith illustrates metaphorically, the slender vine twists around the sturdy oak because it has not the strength sufficient to support itself. While it is natural for a person to love his or her country, it is not natural to take this love to the extreme of prejudice. Goldsmith states that the unnatural outgrowth of prejudice from love is similar to the outgrowth of superstition from religion, and, continuing his plant metaphor, believes that these outgrowths should be lopped off. This goodly tree can never flourish in perfect health and vigor. It is certainly possible for a person to love his or her own country and to wholeheartedly support it without thinking that the citizens of other countries are inferior. When Goldsmith asks the rhetorical question, "Is it not very possible that I may love my own country without hating the natives of other countries?" the answer is a resounding yes. In fact, to answer in this way is to become a citizen of the world. Now we come to the theme of the essay. In this essay, Oliver Goldsmith talks about his encounter with a group of men who were engaged in a conversation about the different characters of the nations of Europe. He then goes on to talk about how one of men's negative prejudices on the Dutch, French, German and Spanish, and then said that the English were the best. At this remark, no one at the table disagreed but Goldsmith. He turned around and said positive things about the Dutch, French, German and Spanish, and said negative about the English. The point Goldsmith tries to get across is that we should not be people who believe and say we belong only to a certain group, religion or society. We should be people of the world. Now we come to the very important questions of the essay. What is the author's attitude towards national prejudices? Discuss. Or, what does the writer want to say about the curse of national prejudices? Do you see any reason in his arguments? The answer is, for Goldsmith, they are a curse. National prejudices enable a man to sing songs of greatness and glory of his country and run down the other countries of the world. He thinks that his nation is the best in the world. The writer refers to the proud Englishman who suffered from the curse of national prejudices. For that Englishman, the Dutch were greedy, the French a set of flatterers, the German drunkards, and the Spaniards proud and cruel. He thought that the English were the best of all. Little did the Englishman know that the Dutch were economical, the French more polite, the Germans more hardy, and the Spaniards more serious than the English. The Englishman was also ignorant that the English were no gods. They were rash, obstinate, and impatient. The writer says that national prejudices are not essential for the growth of patriotism. Love of one's country doesn't teach hatred for other countries. National prejudices are the sign of a vulgar mind. They must be given up at all costs. National prejudices have bred superiority complex in many countries of the world. They look upon themselves as a roof and crown of all creation. This attitude has played havoc with numberless precious innocent lives in different countries of the world. National prejudices sow the seed of discord. They don't let people feel that no men are foreign and no country is strange. The writer has beautifully advocated the cause of international understanding in the essay. National prejudices serve as barriers to the free flow of human thought. They create unnecessary hurdles between the nations of the world. People think only in terms of their own country and not in terms of mankind. For them, a part is greater than the whole. They don't regard themselves as the citizens of the world. The next question is, what relationship does Oliver Goldsmith find between national prejudice and patriotism? The answer is, Oliver Goldsmith says that national prejudice is not the natural and necessary growth of love for our country. It is wrong to think that national prejudice cannot be ended without denting our patriotic feelings. National prejudice is not the natural and necessary growth of our patriotic feelings. Superstition and enthusiasm are also the growth of religion. But it is wrong to say that they are the necessary growth of religion. They are actually the base or illegitimate branches of the plant of religion. Superstition and growth can be very easily cut off from the plant of religion. Such a cutting off will not do any damage to the plant of religion. As a matter of fact, the plant of religion will have a healthier growth if it is freed from superstition and enthusiasm. It is possible to love one's own country without hating other countries. One can defend the law and liberty of one's own country without hating the rest of the world. The writer would prefer to be a citizen of the world. He would not like to call himself a citizen of this country or that. He calls upon the reader not to hate people belonging to other countries. गोल्डस्मिथ के लिए नेशनल प्रेजुडिस एक श्राप है। हर व्यक्ति अपने देश के गौरव और महानता के गीत गाता है, परंतु अन्य देशों को वो बहुत कम आंकता है। वो सोचता है कि उसी का देश सबसे महान है। गोल्डस्मिथ एक अंग्रेज की बात सुनाते हैं जो नेशनल प्रेजुडिस से पीड़ित है। उस अंग्रेज के लिए डच लालची थे, फ्रेंच चापलूसों का समूह है, जर्मन शराबी और स्पेन के लोग क्रूर हैं। उस अंग्रेज व्यक्ति के अनुसार अंग्रेज ही दुनिया में श्रेष्ठ थे, जबकि उस अंग्रेज व्यक्ति को पता ही नहीं था कि फ्रांस के लोग अधिक विनम्र, जर्मन के लोग हार्ड वर्कर और स्पेन के लोग कितने मैच्योर थे। गोल्डस्मिथ के अनुसार एक देश दूसरे देश के लिए कभी भी नफरत नहीं सिखाता। राष्ट्रीय पक्षपात ने कलह का बीज बो दिया है। राइटर कहता है कि नो मैन आर फॉरेन एंड नो कंट्री स्ट्रेंज। कोई भी व्यक्ति विदेशी नहीं है और कोई भी देश अजीब नहीं है। लेखक ने इंटरनेशनल अंडरस्टैंडिंग को खूबसूरती से दिखाया है। लोगों को मानव जाति के लिए सोचना चाहिए, उन्हें खुद को दुनिया का नागरिक मानना चाहिए, परंतु ऐसा नहीं है। उनके लिए दुनिया का एक हिस्सा ही उनका देश है, जिसे वो सबसे अधिक श्रेष्ठ मानते हैं। Now students, I end the essay by wishing you all the very best. Hope you understood it well. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much.